Welcome to the Rise of the Trades podcast, the show dedicated to helping you to build, grow, and scale your trades or construction business. All rise for your host, Craig Wilkinson.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Rise of the Trades podcast, where we help trades and construction business owners to skyrocket leads, explode net profits without having to graft 60 hours a week and becoming that busy fool. In this episode, I'm going to share with you the 10 killer mistakes that tradesmen and women are making right now that's actually losing your work. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with price. It's all down to your sales process. But before we go there, I'd just like to announce that the tickets for our next Rise of the Trades Summit in Sheffield has now been released. This is the UK's largest networking, coaching and personal development in-person event for trades and construction business owners to attend, and we get members and non-members travelling from all over the UK to attend this unique event. If you want to secure your ticket for the event on the 19th of September, please consider clicking on the link in the show notes and the description of this episode. Now, let's transition over to this week's coaching episode. I first of all want to share with you what sparked this episode off and why I'm actually recording it. Now, a couple of months ago, we built a pricing and profit calculator that all of our Inner Circle members and Growth Club members have now got access to. And very quickly, what this pricing and profit calculator does, it works out your hourly rates for what you should be pricing on a job, taking into consideration things like holiday pay and pensions and everything else that you should be paying your employees. It then works out your break-even figures. It then has a pricing calculator where it pulls all these figures in, and all you need to do is add your labour hours in, and it adds up all of your labour correctly. You put your materials in, it adds your profit margins on for your gross and net profit margins. And once you've done the job, you can then go back and put the numbers and figures that the actual job cost you. So you can look at, let's say, what you quoted versus what it actually cost you. And hopefully you're up, you've made more profit. But you can analyse that on a job per job basis. Now, when we launched it, the feedback that we've had from members has been incredibly positive. It's like, oh my God, I didn't realise, Craig, that I weren't charging enough. This is why I'm not making money. This is why I'm always skint. This is why I've never got enough money in bank, or I ain't got enough money to pay me VAT man all the tax. This is exactly why. However, what it has actually highlighted is I need to put my prices up by X amount of percent or X amount of money per day, which is then leaving people questioning, can I actually charge that out? Am I going to win work if I charge it out at this price that I should be charging it out at? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. All day long you'll win work as long as you've got these 10 steps and these 10 mistakes that I'm going to cover off in this episode absolutely nailed. Now, there was a member, I'm not going to mention names because I've not asked them for their approval for this, but there were a member last week who put in our Growth Club community, Craig, I've put my prices up, right? And I've quoted 5 jobs based on my new price. I've only won 2 out of the 5, when I would have normally have won probably 4. So I'm 50% down on my conversion rate. Of course you're going to be. And that's because you've put the prices up. And therefore, the target market that you are now wanting to market to that can afford these higher prices, we need to shift and change as marketing, don't we? But then they were saying, yeah, but I need the work. You know, I've got lots of lads working for me. I need the work. No, you don't need the work, because the work that you've been clearly getting in prior to that, you've not been making any money on. So what's the point in doing it on the first place? It's not all about the price. And I want everybody that's listening to this episode right now to write these words down. 9 times out of 10, when a customer comes back to you and uses the objection of price as the reason why they're not going with you, then believe it or not, it was never about the price. What you've actually done within your sales process is you've pissed them off. You've done something or said something or not done and said something at the right time that's now turned that customer off you. So you could be putting the right pricing to the right target market where you're going to be making money because you've sorted out your hourly rates and your profit margins correctly through the calculator, but you're still not winning work. Well, it's not about price. 9 times out of 10, it's never about price, particularly if you're vetting people and you've already got the budget and you know they've got the budget and they're still neglecting you and turning you down. There's got to be more to it than just price. All right. So in this episode, I want to share the top 10 killer mistakes that I guarantee you'll be making. Now, how many of these you're making, I don't know. You're going to have to work your way through these, because any one of these 10 mistakes could be preventing you from winning that job, because it's not all around price. It's around the customer experience and how you wow them and how you make a potential customer feel that's got the biggest impact on it, because price is not always the objection. So grab your notepads, grab your pens, make plenty of notes, and what I am going to be doing is sharing some additional episodes that I want you to go back and listen to after this one that's going to help you with some of these strategies. So let's rewind and start at the beginning. If you're losing work and you believe it's always down to price, it is not about that. And I'm going to assume that if you're a Growth Club member, Inner Circle member, or you listen to these free podcasts every single week, that you've got your sales process nailed on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly share with you 4 episodes that I want you to make a note of that's going to help you with your sales process. Because I'm assuming right now that number 1, you fully understand who your target market is and where you can find them in your highest concentration. And I'm talking about B2B, business to business. So that might be you selling to commercial or industrial type of clients, or B2C, business to consumer, you're selling to Mrs. Jones, your next door neighbour. Either way, you got to fully understand who your target market is. Now, there are 9 characteristics to identify your B2C and B2B target markets. And they all are outlined in episode number 11. So if you haven't got a Scooby-Doo and you are laser focused on who your target market is, you've got to first of all go and find out who they are. And that's on episode 11. Then number 2, once we've worked out who that target market is, we've got to put together what I call an attract strategy. And what I mean by an attract strategy is, you know your target market is now, so what content and what messaging do we need to put together to start to share to attract that target market to our business? To give you an example, I'm talking about social media, I'm talking about video marketing, I'm talking about blogging, I'm talking about all these powerful strategies that I teach that you've got to put out there. You've got to get the content out there to attract that target market to you. Look at this podcast. This is part of my attract strategy. I create this podcast every single week and give all this value and knowledge away for free because I want to attract you to my business, the Trades Freedom Club, so we can help you, right? So this is part of my attract strategy. Number 3, once we're attracting people back to your business, you must put them through a vetting form or a pre-qualification form, or otherwise, how do you know if they've not got the right budget for you, or they haven't got the right timescales for you, or they don't tick the right boxes of who you want to work with moving forward? And if we don't vet them, you've got absolutely no idea who that person is. And let's face it, what's the point of going to look at that job if they ain't got the budget in the first place? So what I want you to do is go and listen to episode number 36. Because in episode 36, I teach you how to build a vetting form and the questions that you need to ask on that form to vet people to make sure that they are right for you moving forward. And the 4th part of your sales process is you need to have automations and a system built in that's coping with these leads that are coming in through the vetting form that are then automatically triggering emails and text messages and putting that customer onto a sales pipeline for you. And that software that we recommend and use for that is Leadzilla, because Leadzilla is a marketing and sales dedicated piece of software that will help you do this. Now think about it. If we've got the right target market and then we're putting out the content to them that's the right messaging, and we're attracting them to our business and putting them through a vetting form or a pre-qualification form that then's triggering automated emails and texts and introduction videos to you and your business, along with videos of happy customers and clients telling the world how amazing you are, then straight away you are putting yourself in a completely different position to everybody else that's not doing this. And let me tell you now, having coached 30,000 trades business owners, I'm telling you now, the vast majority of people have not got this in place, and I consider this to be the basics. Now, if you haven't got these 4 basic things in place, the consequences to you and to your business are as follows. Number 1, you're going to attract too many time wasters and tire kickers into your business, which ultimately means you're going to waste so much time going to survey jobs, spending half an hour there, coming back, spending time putting price together and quoting it, then putting proposal, quote or estimate together and emailing that out and chasing them up, only to get ghosted. Why? Because they didn't have the budget in the first place. So why even bother wasting your time to go and do that? Number 2, your conversion rate's going to plummet. So when you start to look at how many jobs do you need to price to win one, it might end up being that you've got to price 4 jobs to win one. In other words, your conversion rate is 25%. And that's really, really poor. And then that leads to feast or famine, where some months you're chock-a-block with work, and then other months you're scratching around and therefore losing money, particularly if you've got a team and overheads, you're now losing money. We can't afford to go down that route. So, I mean, I've not even got onto the top 10 mistakes yet. I'm just saying every business owner should understand the target market, the messaging and how to attract them, put them into a vetting form, which triggers automations, emails, texts and videos off to that potential customer. Now we're attracting the right people and we're starting to wow that customer with the automations that we've put in place. So again, if you've not got those in place to start off with, I'd suggest that you go and listen to them podcast episodes that I've just shared with you now and go and get stuck into that before we even get into the 10 mistakes that I guarantee that most of you will be making. Now, throughout this chapter, we're going to be actually covering the real reason why you might be losing work, because it is not always about price. Remember what I've just said in previous chapter. If we're attracting the right target market to us and we're vetting them and we understand what their budget and timeframes are, right, and it fits, and we're triggering automations and everything else off, people cannot use price as an objection on why they're not going with you, because they've already established that they've got the budget by putting them through the vetting form. So you know they've got the budget. So what else could it be that's turning them off? Even though they say to you, do you know what, we'd love to work with you, but we've got 2 other quotes. You came out the most expensive. We haven't got the budget, or for whatever bullshit reason they come out with, we're going with someone else. That's telling me that you've done something or pissed them off or not done or said something at the right time in your sales process. Therefore, you have not ticked all the boxes that that particular customer needs ticking to have built trust that you can solve the problem that they've got. Now, what I want you to do now, I want you to get a notepad and pen and write down, let's say, 10 tick boxes, right? And what your job as a salesperson, and listen, whether you like it or not, and you don't like the word salesman, saleswoman, listen, you're probably responsible for bringing the work in. So you are a salesperson. But I'm still staggered at the amount of people out there that have had no sales training when they're running a business. I mean, think about it. What's the point of you putting all this marketing and investing into all this marketing, all these systems such as ServiceMate and Leadzilla that you put into your business, employing staff to help you make more profit and save you time? What's the point of doing all that if you're going to go and cock it up by what you're doing or not doing and saying when it comes to the sales process? And many people say to me, oh, Craig, I've got the gift of the gab. I'm a cheeky chappy. Usually when I get sat in front of a customer or I go and visit them, I can talk them into it. They need to see me, right? And I say to my inner circle members when we do a full month on the psychology of sales, right, whoever thinks they're great at sales, unmute yourself now on our Zoom, on our training, unmute yourself and try and sell to me. And literally within 30 seconds, I've shot them down and I'm actually turned the tide on and I'm actually selling to them. So they've had no sales training. I'm not on about being pushy and sleazy and taking Mrs. Jones down to the cash machine and stood next to her while she's taking a deposit out at bank. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just talking about some basic fundamentals that you've got to get right, that your customers or clients are visually spotting and seeing, or things they're hearing from you that's going to turn them on or turn them off. And what your job as that salesperson is to do is to imagine this. When you walk into the next survey, let's say you're a plumbing and heating engineer and you're going to go and see Mrs. Jones round corner, who's found you on Facebook and she wants a price for a new boiler installed. When you knock on that door, I want you to imagine this going through your head now. This customer is unique. There are no 2 customers the same. So Mrs. Jones that you are now going to look at, survey and quote, is not the same customer as the survey that you've just been to in the morning, right? This is a different customer with different needs and different questions. And it's your job as the business owner to identify what are the questions that this unique individual customer needs me to tick. And if you imagine having a tick box with 10 squares, and when you're walking round that survey or around that job, you've got to tick some of those boxes that that particular customer is needing, right? But they also don't only need the tick boxes ticking while you're doing the survey. Things like how quick does the quote come back to them? What's the communication like? All this lot's important as part of your sales process. And if any of that lot gets let down and they don't feel as though you've offered them the service they're looking for, they're going to put an X across in that tick box. And if they've got more crosses than ticks, you are not in the running for that job. And it doesn't matter what your price is like. If you've not ticked all their boxes, they're not going to choose you. And I'm telling you now that because you're not asking the right questions throughout the entire sales process and you're not ticking all these boxes, you're getting the objection of price being the excuse of why customers don't want to go with you, because it's easy for the customer to tell you its price because they know you're going to accept it. But what they wanted to really say to you is this: you turned up late, you look scruffy, you never asked me a single question that ticks my boxes. You were quite rude because every time I asked a question you butted in. You said you were going to get quote back to me by Wednesday at 3 o'clock and I'm chasing you on Friday because the quote's not here, so the quote's now late. It's things like that that's pissed them off, and therefore they've lost all confidence that you can do the job. Are you with me? What they want to say to you is that, but they don't want to say that to you because they know it's going to upset you. So what do? They say, oh, you were too expensive. And you go, okay then. So it's not always about the price. And what I've seen, again, working with thousands of trades business owners, is what I consider to be the basic 10 things that you've got to have in place on this sales process. I look at it and I go, well, hang on a minute, there's no wonder you're not winning work. It's got nothing to do with price, because that and that is awful. That's where you're dropping the ball. It's not about price, it's that. So I want you to really take note of what I'm sharing right now, because some of these are quick fixes. Some of these you'll be aware of. But because you're busy spinning a million plates, you've took your eye off the ball and therefore you're dropping. These plates are spinning and crashing, and we can't afford to do that. So the first mistake you're making is all around your branding. Honestly. It's your branding that's letting you down. I mean, come on. If you go and price a job and you're using our pricing calculator, which is going to no doubt push your prices up, because 9 times out of 10 people who use that pricing calculator aren't charging enough. They've not worked out their hourly rate correctly because they don't understand the numbers. So your prices are going to go up. And you may well be the most expensive out of the 3 quotes that they're going to get. But if you're going in with a high price or a highish price, and your branding looks cheap, it looks nasty, it looks like it's a one-person band, you've got your initials in your name, you're a plumbing and heating engineer and you're using your flame, it looks like word art or it's been done by a 5-year-old. If your branding looks cheap, but you're putting a high price in, all of a sudden there's a massive disconnect between your brand, your logo, your fonts, your colours, your brand authority. There's a massive difference. So they're looking at this thinking, hang on a minute, this company's come in with the highest price, but the branding is awful. They look cheap and nasty. So therefore there's a disconnect. Think about it. Use this as an example. Let's say that there's 2 restaurants bang next door to each other. One of them is shiny, it's got beautiful signs outside, it's well lit, the windows are all dressed right, the staff inside have all got a nice smart uniform on, the menus look class and looks presentable, and it looks incredibly professional. But then next door, you've got a restaurant where the branding outside and the signage is all faded and it's all peeling off, and you've got paint peeling off. The menu looks like it's just been written on one of these A-boards that's propped outside. The staff look like they've got no uniform. The windows are poorly lit. It just looks a little bit cheap and a little bit run down. Now, food-wise, they might serve the same quality food. But if you're stood outside looking at this, which one are you going to be more comfortable paying top dollar to eat in? Exactly. You're going to go to the one that looks the part. Well, it's no different in a trades business. If you're quoting a premium price, and that's what I want everybody that I quote to do, I tell my inner circle members, I want you to be the most expensive. Because when we get your branding on point and we get the customer journey right, people know why they're paying for that extra, right? They know why they're paying a little bit more. But if you're charging premium prices and your van looks a bit old or it's dirty or it's a bit battered and your logo's pixelated or it looks cheap looking or your social media posts look a bit amateurish and no different to anyone else or your website's not been updated for 2 years, listen, your customer sees all this. There's a mismatch. There's a disconnect. You're expecting to charge champagne prices, but you're serving it in a paper cup. And your customers are noticing this. And even though they might not tell you, right, they're looking at it and thinking, I'm not going to pay that amount for that boiler when I've got 2 cheaper quotes in from companies who look so much better than that one. So going back to the post that went into our Grove Club from said member who said that my conversion rate's dropping, when I looked at, I thought, I'm going to go and have a look at this. And I went and had a look at the branding, I had a look at the website and the social media and everything else. And it was like awful. It looked like where they were when they first set up the business. And they've been in business for 7 years. It looked like where they were on day one, not where they were going to be in 10 years' time. So there were a massive disconnect between the branding. So that's one huge thing that you've got to get right. Your branding is the foundation to all your marketing. If your branding's not right and your branding's consistent, or your branding still looks like you were a one-person band on day one, but you've evolved and grown as a business and there's a disconnect, that branding is going to shine through everything from your social media to your websites, to your landing pages, to your videos. It is everywhere. So the first biggest mistake is you've got to get your branding right. So I'm going to give you 2 podcast episodes that you've got to go back and listen to if you believe that your branding could do with being improved. Because I tell you, the strategy that we use when we rebrand businesses to a world-class new brand. So write these 2 episodes down. The first one is episode number 20, and that's how to build a business brand that generates your leads in 3 simple steps. And then episode 66, where I give you our 10-step rebrand strategy on how you need your branding to stand out and wow your customers and get you noticed for all the right reasons. There's 10 steps that we go through when we rebrand our members' businesses. So that's episode number 66. But please get the basics right first. Come out of the traps with a world-class brand, not a brand that's old, that's got your initials in, that's got your name in, that makes you look like a one-person band. Let's look at mistake number 2. And mistake number 2 is your personal first impressions. And what I mean by this is there's a 6-second impression rule where you're going to make a judgment call, and you'll do this yourself. So if you're doing it, your customers will do it. People will make a judgment call on you personally based on how you look. You've not even opened your mouth yet. You've not even tried to solve the problem they've got yet. But if that first impression gives a poor judgment call out to that particular customer, they've probably already discounted you before you've even said or done anything within 6 seconds. Let me explain. If I were to walk past you in the street and I had different coloured hair, maybe covered in tattoos, maybe smoking, maybe not looking or presenting myself correctly. And bear in mind, I've got nothing against people with different coloured hair, tattoos or smoking. I'm not saying that. But if that person was to walk past you, you would judge them based on their appearance. Rightly or wrongly, you would judge them. And it's the exact same with your customers. And remember that tick box, you've got absolutely no idea what they're expecting to see when you pull up outside somebody's house. So imagine you show up at your customer's home for a survey and you're late. You've got no automations in place, sending them emails and texts, reminding them that you're coming with an introduction video, you introducing yourself before you've even got there. You've got none of that in place. You don't even have the decency to let the customer know that you might be a little bit late. So you rock up late. You look like you've just come off at tools, so you're covered in dust. Maybe you're a plasterer, and I get it. Plasterers, you're covered in plaster dust and plaster. But people don't want to see that. They don't want you rocking up at their house dirty. Maybe you start saying, I'm sorry, I'm late, I'm just busy. You're saying all the wrong things. They're not bothered that you're busy, and they're not bothered that you're dealing with another customer. They're just saying you're late. You rock up, your boots are muddy, you're rushing around, you look and feel stressed. They offer you a drink, you decline them. You then start blurting out your pitch that you do to every single customer, and you're blurting it out and you're walking round and you're doing all this thing, and not once do you stop and ask the magic question that every single one of you need to ask as soon as you walk into someone's house or offices or premises to meet a customer or potential customer for the first time. No, you don't say the magic words. You just go and blurt everything out, and then you leave and you think, I've got that job. Just when you get on, when you click with a customer and you just feel like you've got it, and you're walking back to your van and you go, I've got that. I know I've got it. That's in a bag, that job. Well, let me tell you what's happening on the other side of that door. As you walking back to your van that might be dirty, again, first impressions, where you've pulled up half on curb and half off at curb, or you've pulled up right across customer's drive, which nobody likes. When you've done all these things and you think you're walking out of the house thinking you've won the job, they're closing the door going, thank God they've gone. They never shut up. They were late. They were rude. They didn't take a drink off me. They didn't take the shoes off. They didn't ask me any specific questions. They've not ticked any of my boxes. They pulled across my drive. The van looks like it's not been washed in God knows how long. They rocked up dirty with wood chippings or plaster dust in their hair. They don't want that. But some of you are doing that. So the first impressions count. And if you're turning people off before you've even said anything, they've already made their mind up and judge you that you've not got the job anyway. Now write this down, right? The question that you need to ask as soon as you walk into someone's house or premises to unlock all them tick boxes that they're expecting you to tick, but you don't ask them, so you've got no idea what them tick boxes are, leaving them feel like they've not got all their questions answered and therefore aren't confident that you can do the job. The first thing you must ask when you walk through anyone's door is this question. Example, Mrs. Jones, while I'm surveying your boiler, there's certain questions that you may want me to answer. And I'm here to help you and answer any questions that you've got. So what questions are important to you? What questions can I answer for you, Mrs. Jones, while I'm here? And then shut the cup, right? Because whatever comes out of their mouth next are the tick boxes that you have got to tick. So if they come out with, I want to know how much it costs, what guarantees I get, and when can you start? The only thing that you've got to answer are those three things. Do not go off on a tangent trying to bamboozle them with all stuff that they don't need or that is not important to them. You answer the questions and tick the boxes that are important to them. Then once you've answered them questions, you almost repeat it. So Mrs. Jones, do you have any more questions? Oh, yeah, Craig, while you're here and thinking about it, what are your payment terms? And what happens if I need to call you back? Right, shut up and just answer those two questions. Then once you've answered them, Mrs. Jones, are there any other questions that I can help you with? Do you know what, Craig? No, I think you've answered all my questions. Thank you. Can you see what I'm saying? So what you're doing is you're asking the customer what's important to them, because remember, they've got different tick boxes to the previous 10 customers that you've just been to see. And it's up to you as a salesperson to get out of them what questions they want answering. That way, you know that when you leave that house, you've ticked all of them boxes that particular customer needed ticking. So first impressions are going to count. If they don't get to know you, if they don't get to like you, if they don't get to trust you, because that first impression is wrong, then you're never going to win the work no matter what the price is. Killer mistake number 3 is poor communication. And it's no excuse whatsoever in today's day and age for any trades or construction business to have poor communication with their customers and clients, because we've got systems and automations. We've even got AI now that can respond automatically back to any email, any text, any WhatsApp, any question or query. We've built an AI bot that will respond as though it's you straight to that customer almost immediately. So weak communication, let's talk about this. If you book a customer in to go and do a survey, I would expect in today's day and age that you trigger automated emails and text messages confirming their appointment, along with a video that's embedded in that email and text of an introduction video of you and your business, and explaining to them what's going to happen when you or a member of your team go and do the survey. I would expect you to either, one, immediately quote the job there and then, or if it's a commercial job or you're building an extension on someone's home that might take a little bit longer, we don't want to be waiting a week to get back to customers in today's day and age. They are wanting speed and convenience. And when they can sit on the backsides at an evening while they're watching telly and order something off Amazon or Argos, as an example, and get it delivered next day to their door, where they get emails, text messages, and everything's tracked, and they don't have to move the backside, they're comparing you and your customer journey and sales process to the likes of Amazon. So if you're one of these that goes out to do a boiler quote, and let's face it, things like boiler quotes, rewires, pricing, small joinery jobs or plastering jobs or tiling jobs or roofing jobs, I would expect in today's day and age that you could do the price there and then, because we built tools that allow you to do it. So you could go in, all right, Mrs. Jones, so you want a Valent combi boiler. It's a combi to combi swap. We're having this, and this. You're having these thermostats, flues coming out a side wall, bang, bang, bang. Mrs. Jones, can I just check your email and text, please? Yeah, okay, ping. Ding. A phone pings. Oh, what's that? Oh, Mrs. Jones, that's our proposal. There are terms and conditions. There's all our reviews. There's 3 video testimonials. That's the date that we can do the installation. How would you like to proceed? Now, if you're going up against someone who, for all the wrong reasons I've just mentioned, rocks up, then tells the customer that they're going to get back to them in a week's time with a quote, and the branding's poor, and the communication's poor, and their first judgment call on their impressions is poor, who's going to get the job? It's got nothing to do with price. So the communication between you and customers in today's day and age, there's no excuse. When we've got systems and AI that can automate text and emails and WhatsApp messages backwards and forwards, that is what customers want. And let's face it, you don't want to be sat there at 9 o'clock an evening when you should be spending quality time with your loved ones, responding back to emails and text messages from customers at 9 o'clock at night. You don't need to now. Our AI bot does all that for you. You just carry on spending quality time with your family and the AI bot's open 24/7. Are you with me? So we've got to make sure that the communication between you and a customer is absolutely nailed on and you're wowing them, and it's as good as the likes of Amazon and Argos, where you can get same day delivery. You can order something from Argos in the morning and have it delivered same day. So why does it take tradesmen and women 3 days to get back to someone with a quote in today's day and age? The communication is really poor, and that's what's going to lose you the work, not the price. Killer mistake number 4 is slow response times. In today's world, people expect quick answers, right? People are more impatient now than they've ever been before, and you'll do the same. You expect things done quick. You can't understand why you've got to wait X amount of days for this. You know, people want you open 24/7 because that's just the way in which the world has moved. Now, one of the things that I teach on my inner circle, and write this down, honestly, and I've already alluded to this in mistake number 3, are these 2 words. When we're helping you build your sales pipeline, there's 2 words that we have to build into it, because if you don't build these into it, you're going to get left behind. In fact, if you haven't got these built into it already, you are left behind, because my Inner Circle and Growth Club members are building this out now, so you're already behind them, right? And these 2 words is speed and convenience. Write them down, speed and convenience. In today's day and age, people want things yesterday. They get impatient, their attention spans are lowering, so we want speed, we want things now. Why have I got to wait? And convenience is, well, it's not convenient for me now. You know, you're putting this delay in, it's now not convenient. I want to move things on. You know, you're putting a barrier, you're putting an obstacle, you're putting an hurdle in that sales process by delaying everything. And now it's become inconvenient for me as a customer. So therefore, you're out at running. And what I mean by this is going back to what I've just said in the previous mistake. And that is, if you go and say to a customer, look, I'm going to get back to you by tomorrow at 3 o'clock with a price. Or for you people that are dragging the sales process out and say, oh, I'm busy, so can you just give me 3 days? It's like, really? I don't care that you're busy. I only care about me and my problem. I'm not bothered that it's taking you 3 days because you're focusing on other people. I want it now, right? If you're saying all these and you do not get back to that customer on the day and the time that you've promised them that they're going to get that quote, as an example, and it goes over that time, then you are dropping the ball. You've basically, in being slow at communicating and slow at response times, you've just broken that rapport and that trust that you've been building with that customer. Because now all of a sudden it's, Jack, Craig came out to see us, didn't he? When did he say we're getting quote back to us? Oh, should have been in this morning by 10 o'clock. Well, will you ring him, Jack? No, I'm not ringing him. You ring him. Well, I'm not going to ring him. Now it's all awkward and inconvenient. Well, I tell you what, we'll get till tomorrow, and if he's not got back to us, we'll chase him. Listen, if you've got customers, potential customers chasing you for quotes, you've dropped the ball. The sales process is awful. You should never have customers chasing you. You should be chasing them. And things like response times on emails. And I've seen it happen. And you might have done this yourself where you're busy and you've got lots of plates spinning and you've got lots of customers badgering you and you see an email come in, but it stays in your inbox for 2 or 3 days because you haven't got the headspace at that time or the time to deal with that email. So what do? You leave it in your inbox for 2 or 3 days. And then you email the customer back, giving them a bullshit excuse that, oh, Mrs. Jones, I've only just seen your email. It must have landed in my junk folder. No, it didn't. It were always in your inbox. But you haven't got the time or the headspace to go back to them and deal with it. In today's day and age, it's not acceptable. If you tell Mrs. Jones that you're going to be there at 1 p.m. on Thursday to do a home survey, and you're late, you've broken that trust already because the response time is not right. And here's what's happening. While you're busy spinning all these plates and not responding, let's say within an hour, or answering questions immediately or getting back to them on time with things, my Growth Club and Inner Circle members have put all their automation in, this sales pipeline in, that's all being done automatically for them. And they're winning the work because by the time you get round to doing it 3 days later and sending it in, which is not speed and it's not convenience, what's convenient for them is they've already had a price, terms and conditions, an installation date by one of my Inner Circle members, and therefore they've already gone with them. You've lost the job because your response times are poor. Killer mistake number 5. Lack of social proof. Let's talk about social proof, or rather the lack of social proof that you've got from your previous happy customers and clients, telling the world how amazing, on time, on budget, clean, tidy, reliable, trustworthy, amazing communication, telling the world and future customers all of this. Where's all the social proof that you've got? People don't like taking risks on hiring tradespeople. It's always a bit of a gamble. So they look for reassurance that others have trusted in you before them and they've had a positive experience. So if you don't have Google, Facebook, Checkertrade, which trusted trader reviews, and I'm not on about a few reviews here, I'm on about competing with Ryan Price as an example, our Inner Circle member that started my Inner Circle with 190 reviews, and 12 months later he's got over 1,000 reviews. We've took him from fitting 80 boilers a month to fitting 80 boilers a year to 300 boilers a year. We've took him from a couple of hundred service plans signed up with his customers to over 600. We've took him from 350 grand turnover to 1.4 million. And if you want to listen to that interview with Ryan, where he talks you through his strategy and what we've worked on, have a listen to episode number 69. So you've got to blow your competitors out of the water with more 5-star reviews than anybody else locally in your area. And again, when we bring either ServiceMate or Leadzilla into your business, getting the 5-star reviews at the end of every job's all automated. You don't even have to worry about it because the emails and text automatically kick in at the end of every job. So it's consistently asking customers for reviews. How many video testimonials of happy customers and clients have you got? I mean, we've got over 400 video testimonials from our members sharing how we've helped build, grow and scale their businesses, right? So how many video testimonials have you got of your happy customers in today's day and age? My first video testimonial went onto YouTube on the 26th of October 2010. That was 15 years ago. But in today's day and age, some of you still not got video testimonials in your marketing and sales strategy. And what about case studies? Where you're taking a job that you've recently done and you're writing about the pain points and the problems that the customer had before they employed you. Then you explain what you did throughout the project or the job. And then you share photos and videos of the end result, showing the benefits of what you're leaving that customer with a photograph of you shaking the customer's hand and a 5-star review all on your website. Where is all this? Because that's what customers are looking for. Or otherwise, it's your word against everybody else's. And you're bound to tell the customer that you're best at what you do. But if you've got a cheap brand and first impressions aren't right, and you've got poor communication, but you're trying to tell everybody that you're best at what you do, then there's something amiss, isn't there? So you've got to get social proof to prove to the future customers that you can solve the problem that they've got. Killer mistake number 6. Poorly presented proposals, quotes, or estimates. What you've got to remember is, whatever you present in front of a potential customer, they're going to make a judgment call based on you, on your professionalism, on whether they think that your business is worth investing into by choosing you. But the amount of quotes that I see people send out are incredibly basic. They look like they've been done on a fag packet or at back of a napkin. And I even see people texting and WhatsApping prices to customers. I mean, come on, what's all that about? How are you supposed to win a nice job when you text or WhatsApp your customer a price? You're never going to do it, are you? And then I see people taking the easy option where they've got like a Word document and they've put the logo in top left-hand corner so it looks like a letterhead, an official letterhead. And they've got like a template on a Word document that they then export as a PDF. How poor is that? Or, even worse, you're using QuickBooks or Xero to do your quotes on. And you're sending your quotes out on Xero with them a link for them to click and pay a deposit for their job through Xero. I mean, come on, sending stuff out through Xero or QuickBooks, it looks like a flipping invoice in itself. Never mind a quote or a proposal. Your quotes, estimates and proposals are part of your sales process, and therefore they've got to absolutely wow the customers. Now imagine this. You're up against a couple of other companies and Mrs. Jones lays the 3 quotes out on a dining room table, all printed off, or they bring them up as 3 different tabs on a laptop and she says, "Hey, Fred, have a look at these quotes." And you've got one that's come on a WhatsApp message, another one that's come on either a Word document turned into a PDF that looks like a letterhead, or a Xero quote, or one of my quotes that I teach my Inner Circle members, where the quote looks like a brochure. It's an online brochure, and inside this quote has got video testimonials embedded in. It's got your 5-star reviews being pulled in. It looks like a website, and we present that along with, please tell me you're doing this. There's a tool called Loom, LOOM.com, Loom. And what we get you to do is we get you to do a quick video walkthrough of the quote. And this doesn't matter whether you're a plumber fitting a boiler, an electrician fitting a 4 kilowatt solar panel system on somebody's 5-bedroom detached, whether you're a building contractor, whether you're a bathroom installer, installing someone's bathroom, or a kitchen installer, you've got to make your customers think, wow. So once you've got a proposal that looks like a high-class quality brochure or website, and you record yourself walking through each page of the proposal, explaining what goes into it, what's included, what's not included, how we've put together an affordable payment plan where we take a deposit and then an interim payment, and then to proceed, all you need to do is click this button and sign our terms and conditions and pay a deposit. But you're on the video walking through this. Wow, that just blows your customers away. So think about it. 3 quotes, 3 similar prices, and then the estimate quote or proposal comes in. You've got one that's been texting, you've got one that's been done on Xero, and then you've got one that's a video walkthrough that looks absolutely stunning, but there's not a great deal of difference in price. Who are they going to go with? They're going to go with the one that wows them the most, and that's the video walkthrough. Now, if you're a Growth Club member, please go into my live coaching classroom inside our school community, because I've done a 2-hour live training on how you build all this lot out. And that's all sat in our classroom section under my coaching sessions for you to go and learn that strategy right now. But I'm telling you now, the response that you will get from your customers that are receiving video walkthrough proposals, quotes and estimates that look like brochures is going to win you more business just doing that alone. Killer reason, mistake number 7 is it's all about you, not about them. Let me explain. We've got a tendency when we go to, let's say, survey a job as an example, to constantly be talking about us, to try and impress our customer, right? And make ourselves sound and try and almost prove to them that we are the best at what they do, therefore they should choose us. So we talk about our skills, you know, our years of experience and how long we've been in business. For many of us, we talk about how many certificates that we've got, how many vans we've got on the road, how many jobs we've got on, all this, right? But listen, if your marketing's done correctly and they've got all the social proof that they need, and they've already watched video testimonials and checked out all the reviews, they know that you're good at what you do. You don't want to try and sell that to them, because that comes across as a bit like sleazy. And what we've got to understand is they don't care about what you do or the size of business or really how long you've been established to a certain extent. All they're concerned about is, I've got this problem that needs fixing. Can you fix my problem and tick all the boxes that I'm looking for to have somebody solve that problem for me? And remember, you've already got their budget from the vetting form, so the budget shouldn't come into it. What they're looking for is someone who cares about them, someone who's going to solve their problem, someone who's going to ask all the right questions and not just talk about how amazing they are, because in reality, they don't care. So start replacing the language and the pitch that you use, where you'd normally come out and say, oh yeah, you know, we've been in business for 20 years and, you know, we're the most trusted and rated, whatever you are in this local area. Replace that with, tell me, what matters most to you about this job so we can get it right? That's what people want to hear, because they've already done their investigation work. They've already looked at you on social media. They've already checked out your reviews. They've checked out your website and your social proof. They've already checked that out for you to be there in the first place. So when you go there, you don't want to be talking anymore about you. You want to be talking about them. And again, going back to asking all the relevant questions that you need to ask, so that when you leave that house, that you leave thinking, I've got the job. And when they shut the door, they go, do you know what? Craig were great. Do you know what? He's the only one that's come out and answered all our questions. And do you know what? giving us a price there and then on spot for that new boiler or whatever it is you're fitting. And that automated email marketing campaign that triggered with videos of him and his team introducing himself and all them reviews that he's got and how clean and presentable he was. All that lot is what the customer wants to see and hear. They don't want you trying to sell to them that you're the best. And the other mistake that you cannot and must not be doing is slagging off your competitors. Because slagging off your competitors or telling them about, oh, your competitor, I've heard on grapevine, did this for a customer and this backfired and we had to go back and put the job right. Again, they don't want to hear that. Your presence, your professionalism, your marketing, your authority, your branding should speak all that anyway without you having to slag off your potential competitors. Now, before I share with you the final 3 killer mistakes, I want you to be aware of something called emotional marketing and emotional sales, right? And these are triggers that within our marketing and our sales process, we've got to hit the trigger of emotion with our potential customers. Because if they don't emotionally connect with us, for whatever reason, you could be the best at what you do, but if we're not going to emotionally connect with them, we're never going to win the work. And what I mean by this is, to give you an example, is write these 4 words down, right? Everything that I build into and teach you to build into your marketing strategy to start off with, to attract people to you, and then secondly, into your sales process are these 4 words. And you'll hear me talk about these all the time. But write these 4 words down because this hits the emotional trigger that we're looking for. Number 1 is the word no. K-N-O-W. In other words, we've got to get more people to know that your business exists. Because right now, the level of leads that you bring in is based on the amount of people that know you exist, right? And there's not that many people, when you think about it, in your location, geographical area that know you exist. So the first thing we've got to build into our marketing and sales is how can we get more people to know you exist? Second word, like, L-I-K-E. And what I mean by this is, it's all right people getting to know you exist, but if they don't like you personally, then they're never going to buy from you. So it's more important, or as important, should I say, in today's day and age, that your personal brand, as well as your business brand, is at the forefront of your marketing and sales. You see, in today's day and age, people don't want to deal with faceless companies. They want to know who they're speaking to, who's going to come out and do the survey, who's doing the price, who's going to be coming and doing the installations or the fitting, right? They want to know who. So the more we can bring you personally into the equation, and the more you can bring your team in, for those who have got a team, whether that's photographs of your team on your website and explaining who everybody is, whether that's bringing your team into a video on your next job. So your apprentice might walk past and you could say to your apprentice on your video, hey, Jimmy, come here. Jimmy, this is Jimmy, our 2nd year apprentice. Jimmy, you just want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and the type of work that you do at our company. Straight away, the customers are getting to know you and your team. So we've got to make sure that we can get more people to like you and your team. The third word is the word trust, right? Because let's put it this way. You might know someone right now that you know exists, so you know they've got a business. You might even like that person, but you'd never buy off them because you don't trust them as far as you could throw them. Are you with me? So we need to make sure that this trust, which goes back to the social proof, the videos, the reviews, the case studies, we need to make sure that we've built up that much trust in people that it takes us to word number 4. Write this down. And word number 4 is the word confidence, right? Confidence. Because when they get to know us and they know what we do and what we sell and we exist and where we're based, and they get to like us because they've seen you on some Facebook videos or TikTok videos sharing with the audience your valuable knowledge on the trade that you're in. So they're getting to know you and you're bringing your team into it. They're therefore getting to like you. I like watching their videos because they're really informative. And come on, there'll be certain people that you watch on YouTube, and the reason why you watch them is because you've got to know them, you've got to like them, and now you've got to trust them. So you keep going back and watching their videos. It's the same with your customers. And when we hit those 3 emotional triggers, it equals confidence. And what we mean by confidence is that particular customer is confident based on the content that you've presented to them, that you can solve the problem that they've got. And when we hit the emotional trigger of confidence, that means a new lead, right? So the marketing has done its job. It's generated you a new lead. But what I said is we've got to bring the emotional trigger into sales as well. Because generating a new lead, yeah, the marketing's done its job, but it's still not a paying customer yet. You've not turned them into a job or a customer, have you? So those 4 things have got to continue through the sales process, everything that we're talking about in this episode. And when we continue that through, to get the sale, to get the job, to win the work, for them to choose you over the other 2 or 3 quotes they've had, there's one more trigger that we've got to hit. And that trigger is emotionally connecting to you. Because you could tick all the right boxes for them, but if they're not connecting with you and they're not building rapport with you, and there's something about you that they just can't put the finger on, they're never going to buy off you, are they? So these remaining 3 mistakes are all emotional triggers that we've got to hit with that potential customer. So it's nothing that you're necessarily doing wrong, as in it's taking you a week to get back to them with a price, or you haven't answered their email that's been sat in your inbox for 3 days. This is more about your behaviour towards the customer. So let's finish off with mistake 8, 9 and 10. Killer mistake number 8 is being too pushy or too defensive. Listen, we've all been or had experience of working with, let's say, these salespeople who just don't stop talking. They just talk. Remember, they don't ask you what's important that you want answering. They're just talking to you, right? Who sort of like almost want to pressurize you into signing up today, right? And don't get me wrong, there's certain tactics that we use and I use to get people signed up today, like adding a bonus in, but that's more of an incentive. That's not pushy and being sleazy, right? Or that one that badmouths their competitors. Listen, it makes them feel uncomfortable and it makes people pull away and starts to put an invisible barrier between you and them. And remember what I've just said. This is all about emotionally connecting with people, right? So when customers ask you a question about your price or mention that they've had other quotes, don't get defensive, right? Instead, calmly explain the value that you offer, the reasons why you price the way you price, and why it's in their best interest to potentially choose you. And don't rush their decision, right? Give them a bit of space. Don't get me wrong. While we're there, we want to ask for the business, and I'll come on to that in a sec. But what we don't want to be doing is we don't want to come across desperate. We don't want to come across too pushy. We don't want to come across too unprofessional whereby we're starting to slag our competitors off. What we need to do is we need to do this in a professional manner. And this is why I started off saying at the beginning of this episode, you could do with some sales training on how to ask the right questions, when to ask them, how to come across not pushy and sleazy, but to come across really helpful and supportive to build that emotional connection that we need to build with our potential customers. Remember, your customers are going to buy from the person that they feel most confident with, not the ones that they're not in sort of like desperation, are they? They've got a choice of maybe 3 or 4 quotes. So they're going to buy from the person that ticks all the boxes and they feel most comfortable and confident in either letting into their home or their business and working with. And be proud of what you charge and what you deliver. But we never make the customer feel as though they've been bullied into something or belittled, or you're not listening to them because you know best, because you've been in business for 20 years and what do they know about X, Y, and Z? We can't let them feel like that. But at the same time, from a sales point of view, you've got to ask for the business, right? There's no point in you wasting your time and going to other end of your town or city at 7 o'clock at night to go and do a, let's say, home survey and then actually leave the home without actually asking for the business. And it's just crazy. In sales, they call it a close. I don't like that. I don't like it when you say you close someone. It sounds a bit pushy for me. But you know, every time right now, if I interviewed you now to come on my inner circle, if I thought you were a right fit for me, I would close with this one-liner, and you all need to write this one down. And I'll teach you 30, 40 different soft closes, as we call them, where you're asking for the business, but it doesn't make the customer like pushed into a corner, like they've got to make a decision there and then. We don't want to do that, do we? But at the same time, we've got to ask for a close. So what I would generally say, depending on circumstances, and this is one that you could use, is, let's say you're in the kitchen and you've gone and done a full survey, and it's something that you can give them a budget price for there and then perhaps, or price it there and then, which for some of you you'll be able to. Admittedly, for bigger jobs you might have to go away, right? But just simply ask, how would you like to proceed? And then just be quiet. And let the customer then tell you what their next step's going to be. But we've got to be asking for the business either on the survey, or if you have got to come away and do the price, the follow-up call that we need to make. And you need to be making a follow-up call. And this is not pushing, it's not sleazy, and it's not like you're desperate for work. It's actually showing interest that you want the job. Or on the follow-up call, once you've answered all the questions, you just simply say, how would you like to proceed? And then the customer will either say, well, how do we get going, Craig? What do we need to do? Brilliant, they want to go ahead. Or they might say, well, actually, we've just got a few more questions before we make a decision. Okay, what are your questions? And then answer the questions and then ask them again. Are you with me? Now, this leads me on to killer mistake number 9. And this is all around you having no sales training, right? Remember what we said, nobody wants to be pushy or sleazy or anything like that. What I'm talking about is just some new skills and new tactics that you can learn where the customer doesn't feel pushed or bullied or anything like that. It's just absolutely natural. But there's certain techniques and certain things that you can do and say at certain times throughout the whole of everything we've been covering in this episode, where the customer will build more rapport with you and emotionally connect better with you if you just got a few of these techniques. Now, over the years, I learned that what is the point of having a business? For me, to go and cock it up at the final hurdle, which is the price and the sale or whatever you want to call it, surely it makes sense, Craig, for you to get some sales training, or otherwise you're going to waste all that time and then say and do the wrong thing. So over the years, I've had loads of sales training, right? But that don't mean to say that I'm pushy and sleazy with it. It just means to say that I've got another unfair advantage over all my competitors. And I would suggest that you do the exact same. So what I want you to check out is something that I've become a practitioner in. Write these words down. It's called NLP. NLP, which stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this. In fact, what I'll do is I'll do a full episode on NLP, right? But what NLP is, it's a behavioural change that we need to make if we want to build more rapport and more of an emotional connection with a potential customer. Or you could use it with your team. You could even use it on your family and your kids if you wanted to. I use it everywhere in my life. But NLP is basically, there are 3 communication styles that every single one of us have got built into us, right? Now, I'm not going to go into depth in here because it might start to blow your mind a bit, this. But the 3 learning styles are visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. And what I mean by this is every person communicates and learns in a different way. Visuals, I'm highly visual. In fact, most tradespeople are highly visual. But visuals are people that communicate and learn by what they see or what's presented in front of them. Example, if I was to have a video tutorial showing me how to create an invoice on Xero or how to price a job using our profit and pricing calculator, if I had the option of watching a video to learn and communicate with me on how to do all this, or I had a booklet that were a written instruction with screenshots in it, I'd much prefer to just click play and get that knowledge because I learn and communicate better visually. Auditory, they would do the opposite. They probably won't watch the video. Auditory are people that learn by what they hear. So what they would do is they would listen to themselves reading the instruction manual and taking a quick glimpse at the screenshots. So therefore, they would use the written instruction manual or standard operation procedure to be able to undertake that task. And kinesthetics, they don't learn by what they see and communicate what by they see, and they don't do it by what they hear. They do it by how they feel, their gut feeling. They'll make decisions on their gut feeling, and they make decisions based on what they can touch and feel and things like this. So what I'm going to say is, without delving too deep into NLP, I'd love you to just go and do a bit of YouTubing on neuro-linguistic programming. And when you watch how it starts to come together, you'll be absolutely blown away. Final thing I want to say on NLP is communication styles. So there's 3 ways in which people learn: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. And there's 3 communication styles, right? And this is body language, the words that we use, and the tonality of our voice. And what your job is to do as a salesperson that's meeting a customer for the same time, you've got to work out, are they visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Because if I'm a visual and I'm trying to, let's say, survey a loft conversion, which is what I used to do, and I'm trying to talk to the customer about it, everything that I say and do will be visual. So the way in which I move my hands around all the time, the way in which I gesture all the time, visual words that I constantly use, like vision, look, see. All this lot is what I say and what I do. But if I'm trying to sell to a kinesthetic, for example, and I'm waving my hands in air, almost painting a picture with my fingers because I'm visual, and I'm using visual words like imagine, you could see the view from these Velux windows for miles. Look at what I've just done. Vision, imagine, see, all visual words. But if I'm trying to do this to a kinesthetic is going to get turned off because they're going to feel threatened, because kinesthetics are touchy-feely, emotional type of people. So if I'm waving my hands around at 100 mile an hour and I'm using words like see and vision and imagine that they don't use in their vocabulary, and visual people like eye contact, so I'm looking at them right into the whites of their eyes, a kinesthetic potential customer is going to feel threatened by that visual eye contact. They're going to want to look away. And because I'm waving my arms around, that might come across as aggressive towards them. Are you with me? So when we start to get into sales, I want you to go and check out something called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. I teach it all my Inner Circle members on our program. But it's all about the psychology of building up rapport with potential customers so that we can become whatever learning style and communication style they are. We've got to change who we need to be to communicate in a way in which they understand. Because if all I ever did was communicate in a visual manner, if you're lucky enough to be a visual customer, I'm going to click with you and we're going to get on like an house on fire. But if I'm trying to sell something like a loft conversion to you and you're auditory or kinesthetic, you're not going to understand, and I'm not communicating in a way in which is relevant to you. So therefore, when I walk out of the door, they're going to go, what the hell were they on about? Did you get them? I didn't even understand what they were saying. Now, that's not their fault. That's your fault, because as a salesperson, you've not learnt sales technique to build rapport as quick as you can with your potential customers. And killer mistake number 10, which is what all this has been leading to, and arguably the most important killer of them all, is no emotional connection. And just think about what I've been saying in killer number 8 and 9. It's all around emotionally connecting with that customer. And at the end of the day, customers don't just buy a job. They buy the way you make them feel. They're buying into that emotional feeling of how you are connecting with them. And if you make them feel respected, listened to, and confident that you can take care of their home or their premises, and they trust to leave it in the house on their own, then you're more likely to get more business than the ones that don't trust you because you've missed some of these killer mistakes out of your sales process. If you treat the job as just another job or just another number or just another customer that keeps you and your team busy, and you don't show them any personal investment into their project, then they'll simply find somebody else that's made them feel like they are going to do that for them. People want to feel that you care, that you'll treat their home or business with respect like it's your own home or your own business premises, that you'll keep them informed at all the major stages, that you'll clean up and tidy up after yourself, and you'll go that extra mile if needed. It's not just about delivering a service, it's about delivering a customer experience that they feel good about. So bring the warmth, bring the enthusiasm, bring the passion and care to every interaction. And you'll find customers will be happy to pay that little bit extra over and above because they know that they can trust you and you're going to look after them. So, as I started off at the beginning of this episode by saying, it's not all about price. It never is. Because if you vetted them and they're the right customer and you ask them what's important to them up front and you work on these 10 different killer mistakes, I'm telling you now, if you were to pull this lot together like we do and like we teach, if you were to pull this lot together, right, I'm telling you now, it doesn't matter if you're a little bit more than your competitors. Why? Because you can demonstrate why you're more than your competitors. They can feel it, they can experience it, they can see it for themselves. And come on, if I didn't practice what I preached, let me give you an example of this. Last Thursday evening, all the people that I invite that were on my inner circle waiting list to get onto my next inner circle starting in September, I put a 1 hour 45 minute Zoom on last Thursday and invited everybody from that waiting list to attend that Zoom. And at the end of the Zoom, I asked for the business. I said, look, if you want to join the inner circle based on what I've just shared with you, then click the link in the chat and go and join my inner circle. Obviously, you're going to get vetted. It's not just as simple as that, but go and pay your deposit, sign your agreement, set your direct debit up, all systemized and automated, by the way. I don't have to do any of that manually. It's all done. Our sales process inside Leadzilla takes care of all that. By the time I'd come off that Zoom, the whole inner circle was sold out. The whole lot were gone. How can that be? And let's face it, there are more and more trades and construction coaches popping up all over the show, right? So they don't have to choose me. They could go somebody else for all I care. But because I've done all of these 10 steps, and by creating podcasts like this, where hopefully I'm building trust and rapport and people getting to know me and they're getting to like me. And listen, I'm not that naive to think that everybody likes me, because they don't. But what I am saying is the vast majority of people, I'm sure, will listen to these episodes are getting value from it. So they're getting to know me, like me, trust me, and having confidence that I can solve the problem they've got. And the example and experience of that is selling out a full inner circle within an hour and 45 minutes. There's not many people who can do that. So what I want you to do is identify out of these 10 areas, these mistakes, which mistakes are you making, right? And I'm sure you'll be making some, maybe not all of them, but you'll be making some. And what I want you to do is I want to make it your mission to work on one of these mistakes and get it right. And then move on to the next one, and then move on to the next one, because you can't put them all right overnight, can you? There's not enough hours in the day, but what you can do is make a good start towards and good progress towards sorting one of these out, because let's face it, today, tomorrow, next week, you're going to be going and doing surveys. And if you're losing business because of one of these basic 10 things, don't you think it's in your interest, before you waste any more time or lose any more work, to get these mistakes rectified as quick as you can? Just a quick reminder that if you're not one of our Growth Club members yet, and you'd like to get access to over 100 marketing and training videos and all of our weekly live coaching events with myself and my team, please consider hitting the link in the show notes and the description of this episode and come and join our Growth Club. If you're not already in our free Trades Freedom Club Facebook group and community, then please consider coming and joining us in that group. It's full of positive trades that are all there to help and support each other. And again, the link to get access to that Facebook group is in the show notes and the description. And remember, the wrong customer will always think you're too expensive. I'll catch up with you on next week's episode and I'll meet you at the top. Thank you.